I think for me, what it comes down to is how do we turn our professional identity into opportunity? And what does that look like?
I'm going to argue you want to put more human into it. And the
Hmm.
reason I say that is because right now your differentiators aren't going to be the things you're going to see on paper. You don't see behind me my degrees or anything like that because that in today's world doesn't matter nearly as much as it did in the past. This is why I say that we need to really break out from this outdated way of thinking about how we're showing up in the world and how we're showing up in our careers and in our businesses.
Hey, it's Amy. Welcome to Create Magic at Work, where we cast visions for a future of work where business decisions ripple outward to our teams, our communities, the planet, and humanity as a whole. If you're ready to edge walk instead of sleepwalk through your leadership, you're in the right place. So let's start making magic at work. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Create Magic at Work. Today, I have something interesting for all of the listeners and the Create Magic at Work community. I am bringing a guest on the show that is a marketing strategist, speaker, and host of the podcast Marketing Rebels, Shauna Van Mourik. The reason why I'm doing this is because I know a lot of the listeners of Create Magic at Work are leaders in the workplace. That's what this show has always been about. But Shauna and I are going to talk today about why building your personal brand could be important for you and why it might not be important for you. So I think this is going to be an interesting conversation. A little more about Shauna. She is a #1 international best-selling author and featured expert on 22 plus stages and podcasts. She's helped hundreds of women, service-based entrepreneurs, clarify their message, streamline their marketing, and grow businesses that actually feel good to run. Shauna blends marketing psychology, neuroscience, and bold creativity to help clients attract aligned clients, charge their worth, and build brands that feel like home. Shauna, welcome to Create Magic at Work. Thanks for coming on to talk about this topic with all of us.
I'm actually thrilled. This is going to be quite the ride because I know you and I both love to talk about things that, well, let's be real, that matter.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to talk about marketing today, but we're going to talk about how somebody in the workplace might want to build their personal brand. Like I think a lot about my former colleagues that I stay in contact with that are maybe thinking about a career transition or maybe thinking about, hey, maybe I'm going to leave this corporate space and start my own HR consulting firm or, something along those lines. So why should we care about creating a personal brand now if we're in the workspace?
I love that question. And it's a really important one to have. I know that previously we were talking about how is it important, is it not important to have a personal brand even as a human being, let alone in
Mhm.
the corporate space or as a business owner. And I have some pretty solid I mean research backed opinions on on that whole kind of journey. And when it comes to being in a corporate space, it's really important to understand your personal brand in such that you know what you're bringing to the table. This is vital if you're going to create a resume or a cover letter that's actually going to stand out, that's actually going to make people raise their eyebrows and go, yes, please. You want to
Mhm.
move up? You want to make an impact? You need to know what you bring to the table. And this
Mhm.
is the exact same for anybody who's in entrepreneurship. What does your business bring to your table? Put to the table? What do you add to what you do in your business? That is that extra something that makes people pick you over someone else who's doing the same thing. And now
Yeah.
that's of course a more business answer. I have
Mhm.
a few ideas on why it might be important to just take that journey anyways, regardless of whether you're looking to expand your business or accelerate your career.
Yeah. I think for me, what it comes down to is how do we turn our professional identity into opportunity? And what does that look like? or our whole identity, like you mentioned, the human piece, right? Into opportunity. And a lot of times in this world, we have to translate that somehow into branding and marketing. How do we do that without feeling like we're taking the human out of it, or where we're being inauthentic and all of a sudden we're using chat GPT and just copy pasting it? How do we dive into that? And why should we?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm going to argue you want to put more human into it. And the
Hmm.
reason I say that is because right now your differentiators aren't going to be the things you're going to see on paper. You don't see behind me my degrees or anything like that because that in today's world doesn't matter nearly as much as it did in the past. This is why I say that we need to really break out from this outdated way of thinking about how we're showing up in the world and how we're showing up in our careers and in our businesses. This tells you more about me than any of
Hmm.
my pre degrees ever could. And so if
Hmm.
you've got a pretty on paper type of reflection on who you are, then you're looking towards, first of all, external validation to qualify your worth, which as a human is not advantageous, but also in today's workplace and in the business landscape in general, those previously, I'm not going to use this word. I don't like this way of describing it. I'm just going to use it for the sake of making sure everybody understands. Soft skills. Okay.
Hmm.
These really, they're performance enhancing skills, the things that make us human and able to connect as humans. Those are the things that are actually going to make you stand out as we move forward.
Okay. So let's go back a little bit. First, tell us about your wall for those that aren't seeing the video that you were pointing to, because you're
Right.
talking about certifications versus like the emotion of being like a full human, or the characteristics.
Yes.
So tell us a couple of things on your wall that you were pointing to, just so the listeners can get an idea.
I would love nothing more than to dive into my beautiful wall. So, first of all, plants, yeah, they're fake, but I'm in a basement, but I need
Mhm.
plants in my world. So, having greenery in my space is really important. The second thing, and you'll notice that my outfit kind of matches Forbidden Forest National Park is on
Mhm.
my t
Mm.
shirt. I also have the Marauders map on my wall and some beautiful characters that are from Harry Potter that my children made for me. They're lovely. And a sign that is all about family because family first. Now, although I don't believe in the principles that the Harry Potter author brings to the world, I do love the Harry Potter world. I love the magic. I love the camaraderie. And it really was a staple part of how I grew up. Another thing that I have over here is there is a certificate here. This is for Toastmasters, though. A little
Mhm.
bit different. I'm very proud of my role in Toastmasters because Toastmasters is a very community centered organization that helps all sorts of people in various parts of their life, business, and career.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Caricature and my book. Because,
Mm.
of course, as a number one international bestselling, I've got a chapter in this book, Mastering Unleashed. It's a really great experience. Anyway, so that's the other side of me. But yeah, that's the stuff that if you were to receive a resume that says degree in psychology, blah, 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 degree in rhetoric, blah, 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 that's all fine and dandy. But you know how many other people were in that same program with me? What
Mhm.
makes me different is all the rest.
Yeah.
And that is your personal brand. That's what
Mm.
you're bringing to the table.
Mm. Interesting. This is such a different conversation for me, so I'm trying to lean into it more, because now I'm thinking, I've interacted with a lot of highly competent people, and it's what some of the frustrations that come up from people that are highly competent, highly certified, very, very good at what they do, is the influencer wins sometimes with the revenue
Mhm,
streams and the marketing. And the frustration comes out because it's like sometimes people are selling their brand or their coaching or their consulting or whatever it is. And then the people that step into those offers don't feel like they really got what they were being promised, because the marketing won, and the people that are
mhm,
super competent and rearing to go, they're not nailing the marketing piece. And so there's this divide I've seen over the past few years in the coaching space, where there's some really deep frustration with competent experts. They have all the certifications and they aren't receiving the clients that maybe the savvy marketer influencer would, that actually isn't delivering the results that this highly competent certified other person could deliver on. So tell us what your thoughts are on how we can close that divide.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think you kind of just made my point. It's like in the end, we want results, right?
Mhm.
And we need to base all of our decisions, like I say, whether you're in your career or whether you're growing your business or just living your day to day. And you need to ground those decisions in reality, not in idealist notions. So if in reality, you know that your certifications and experience are going to create a better result, that's amazing. And I believe that. I endorse that wholeheartedly. Right? That's why I'm a philomath. I'm a lover of learning. I went to school for way longer than I probably shoulda, woulda, coulda. Um, however, that accounts for nothing if A, no one sees what you have to offer, B, no one understands the meaning behind what you offer, and C, they don't connect with the transformation you provide, right? They have to have faith in that. And the fact of the matter is, somebody who's savvy in those things, regardless of their backing, they're going to convert. Does it suck? Yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. But this is why we need such a versatile approach to how we're showing up in the world, in career, business, life. We need to understand that those previous soft skills, those connective bits and pieces that people would, oh, it's nice that they speak eloquently, or it's nice that they're up with the times, but now it's important. Now it's vital. You can't just not and rely on your book smarts. You have to have both.
Okay, so if someone
Does
is
that answer your question?
yeah, well, I'm gonna ask you another question on that. So if someone listening has been working in the corporate
Mhm.
space and they are inside a company and they're considering maybe in a few years they wanna move to fractional work or consulting with their expertise, what shift has to happen in how they position themselves today on, say, LinkedIn or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, you want to consider positioning yourself as a leader more than your credentials, right? Like, I mean, an actual thought leader, somebody who is immersed in the day to day of whatever it is you're experienced in, and make sure people see you doing that. I'm not talking about chest beating. Okay. I'm not, I don't really endorse that sort of thing.
Mhm,
What I'm talking about is just highlighting the fact that, hey, I've thought about this and I'd like to bring you into my world, my knowledge, into my knowledge space. Maybe we can have more conversations. Now we're connecting. We're intentionally connecting with people in our space, both through our what we're putting out into the world as posts or articles, etc., with a strategy. But we're also
mhm.
reaching out to people directly and having those legitimate conversations, right? That's the first shift because now you're taking action. Now you're being savvy. Now you're putting yourself out there. You're checking those boxes, slowly building that repository so that when you do take that move, you've already got a foundation that's strong enough to support you.
Did you know Create Magic at Work is more than a podcast? We're an executive coaching team that helps leaders and companies move from reactivity to wisdom, strengthen communication, and build the kind of relational leadership where people see themselves in the vision and choose to contribute their energy to it. One of our clients recently shared, "The person and leader I am now would not exist without this coaching. It changed the trajectory of my career." If you or your company is ready to bring in executive coaching support, you'll find the link to connect with us in the show notes. Yeah, I think we're playing around right now with internal value versus external signaling. Like, I know my
Mm.
value, I know my thought leadership. A lot of high level professionals, I mean, myself included, because we feel like we've done so much work, we feel like the work should speak for itself. And then there's a level of frustration that comes up when it doesn't. And so, how can we give us some examples of how we can do that in an aligned way that feels good, where our internal value that we know we have is all of a sudden showing up externally and people are noticing it through this feel good way of doing that, like like you mentioned, thought leadership on LinkedIn? Like, give us some examples of what that could look like.
Well, I'm actually going to root this in mindset, and I know everybody here is cringing right now. I am like, my face is cringing because I hate going back to it's mindset. Um, but let me put this into like tactical, practical, tangible notions for you all. Your assets that you bring forth that you know hold value. The only reason you really know the value it holds is because you're immersed in it.
Mhm, mhm.
This is going to sound harsh, but we need to
Mhm,
understand that the general public and even many people who are simply in different fields or in parallel studies to us, they will not fully understand the value of what you bring
mhm,
if you don't hold their hand and tell them.
mm,
They won't. And you can't expect them to.
mhm,
That's unfair. I cannot possibly articulate the level of value that a microbiologist brings to the world. I can speculate. I mean, I'm assuming that a microbiologist does some work with maybe it's virology, maybe it's just a study. I'm not 100% sure, but I know it has worth. I don't know what though. I would need them for me to fully understand them. I would need them to really walk me through it. And even then, we need to understand that our understanding of something is infinitesimally small compared to what could be understood about the thing that we have to offer. So I think shifting your mindset around expecting others to know more than they do,
mm,
understanding that that's unreasonable and really not founded in reality, I think that
mm.
shift can help.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. So shifting into the I've even seen it in the past few years with people that have authored books, like amazing leaders, amazing thought leaders, amazing humans. And maybe they post about their book a couple of times, and then it's sort of expected that everybody knows about it. For example, I authored Create Magic at Work, the activity book. I authored Creating Career Magic, the daily prompt journal. And I sit with an understanding that nobody knows about them from a good place. Like I operate in that way because nobody, like even today, 5, 6 years down the road, somebody, go, oh my gosh, you wrote a book. Yeah. Like not everybody's going to know that. And so talking about it frequently is important and not assuming that you put one thing out and everybody is going to know and remember that. That's a little high self-oriented in my opinion, but it also comes from the space when you're a corporate leader and you have hundreds of employees, the perception of you is quite different than when you switch into an entrepreneur role. And some of us that are in the leadership corporate space have a hard time transitioning into the entrepreneur space in that way. And it's such an interesting journey of self discovery and of humbleness, I would say. So, on that note, if somebody's listening and they are considering moving into, oh, I might leave my job and start my own thing one day. What are some stepping stones that they can plan for that someday to start, or maybe some scaffolding or some groundwork that they can start doing? And maybe more importantly, what's an internal shift that has to happen before they can confidently share their expertise publicly?
I think that's a really great question. And I think that I'd like to reflect a little bit on what you said previously about
Yeah.
how short-lived some of the things that you share with the world could be.
Mm,
First of all, we know social media, we know it's saturated. So, the life of a post on almost any platform is only like 3 hours truly. So,
mhm,
understanding that too, it's just pushed away. So, we do need to talk about it more often. The second thing that you
mm,
referenced that you may or may not know you referenced is actually called the Sonder effect.
mm,
And that's that centralization of like seeing yourself as the main character and not
mhm.
necessarily being aware of the fact that everybody does that. And so
So good.
you actually might just be a silhouette in the background of somebody else's main character movie
Mhm,
and you don't realize it. And so if
mhm,
I would argue, look into Sonder effect, understand your role in that, do the work that's necessary there. And also you mentioned something about going into entrepreneurship, while that is absolutely valid for this conversation, it doesn't need to only be housed in that circumstance. If you want to accelerate, even in the same company, as you said, there are many leaders who have so many people within their space. You've got hundreds, if not thousands of people in a lot of the bigger organizations. Understanding that even if you're well known in your capacity, in your like your department, you're in the marketing field or you're in the sales field or you're in the whichever, it doesn't even matter. That doesn't mean they know you in the fields and in the department over there, right? It can
Mhm.
be within the same corporation. You want to move up, upper management might not even know you exist. It sucks to think about it that way. It does. But it's the reality of the situation. This is why I say all of this is grounded in you need to live in reality. You need to humble yourself a little bit and figure out how you can leverage what you have in order to get to where you want to go. So it really is just that shift in thinking and understanding what kind of impact you want to make and what you're willing to curate in order to get there. And by curate, I mean your personal brand. How are you showing up? My podcast really says you're never not marketing. And I believe that. It doesn't matter if you're standing in line at your local grocery store with a bucket of ice cream and I don't know, dinner for the evening, or whether you're in a corporate event and you're putting a presentation on for everyone to see. It doesn't matter. You're marketing. How are people receiving you? How are you
Mm.
connecting beyond your little world? If that is your goal,
Mhm.
just reflect, consider this, and see what kind of personal brand are you intending to curate for yourself.
Yeah. What about those of us that feel like that sounds exhausting? Like I have to be marketing everywhere I go. Like even when I'm standing in line buying ice cream right now, like that feels, what about people that are listening? Like that feels exhausting. I just want to go home and like binge Netflix after work.
Oh
But
man, and
yet
listen, I
maybe they want to be successful as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would say really lean into yes and because it's not an either or situation. Many people will assume that I'm extroverted when they first meet me. I'm actually an outgoing introvert. I love to show up in this capacity. I love having really good, meaningful conversations. I like meeting new people. And then I like going home and binge watching Netflix and lying on the couch. And I'm not shy about articulating that.
Mm.
I am a whole human being and I'm allowed to be both. It is a yes and situation. But everything that I do and every way that I show up, in all of those circumstances are grounded in my personal brand, which has 2 feet very firmly planted in my values and who I am as a person first. This takes us right full circle into our humanity and being people first, no matter what your goals are.
Okay. So what if someone hasn't figured out who they are yet in their business?
Another part. Right. I roll my eyes because I think I subconsciously avoided that when you said that sounds hard. That sounds like a lot of work. I am not the kind of person to sugarcoat it. It is a lot of work. It is. Uncovering your truths, uncovering who you are, what you want, what are your values. But the fact of the matter is, you can either put in the work now and get to where you're going in a determined amount of time, or you can not and just sit with where you're at. If you're comfortable there, hey, dude, do it. Right? I am not going to sit here and tell somebody else how to live their life. But if you have specific goals, if you have ambitions beyond where you're at, this is a really important part of achieving those goals in a way that is sustainable and in alignment to who you are and how you want to get there.
What are some of the things that your company helps people with when they're trying to explore options like this?
Yeah. I actually really like to talk to people about how they're showing up in the world. Most of the time, they're coming to me. Typically, they are coaches, therapists, and service based pros, primarily women and a few cool dudes.
Mhm.
They ask me about how can they show up in a way that's aligned, in a way that's clear, in a way that's actually going to attract clients and convert them. But they also don't want to sell their soul, right? They don't want to be stuck on that hamster wheel. So a lot of times I walk them through kind of this very rudimentary ideology. And then there's like a chart that we walk through as well. And the ideology is what I'd like to share. And that is the
Okay.
idea that when you're showing up, you have these two. My hands are going to be held out and they are going to represent two circles in a Venn diagram. Okay. We've got on the one side, this is who you are. This is what you stand for. This is what you do. This is what lights you up, that brings you joy and not just in what you do, but in how you do it. That's the first circle. That's that inner alignment, right? Your personal brand. On
Mhm.
the other side, you've got your ideal market. These for entrepreneurs are typically their ideal prospects, their prospective clients. But if you're looking to accelerate your career, this could also look like who are the people you need to speak to in order to get to where you're going. This could be upper level management. This could be the CEO for crying out loud. I don't know where you're right. That's who it is. And that is who they are, what they do, what matters to them, and what lights them up. What do they love to consume and how do they love to consume it in the marketing point of view? That overlap in the middle, that Venn diagram overlap, that's where you want to create from a marketing, big M marketing point of view. If
Mhm.
you're writing your resume, you write it from there. So on your resume, you're not saying I like to binge watch Netflix of an evening, right? You're not putting that on your resume because that doesn't fit in the Venn diagram, even if it is in the
Mhm.
one circle. You're going to bridge the gap using that information in the middle. That's the same with your brand messaging. When you're showing up as an entrepreneur, a business owner, or if you're supporting a bigger corporation, you want to live in that space, understanding your audience, your ideal client from a place of authenticity and brand positioning that is rooted in your reality. It also will make you happier just in all the
Mm.
things that you're doing. So you don't feel like you have to do what the gurus say. You're really rooted in what do you love and how do
Yeah.
you love to share it with the world?
Yeah. That's great. For everyone listening that maybe wants to start thinking about this and formulating some maybe thought leadership, or they feel passionate about a certain topic and they feel inspired to maybe start posting a little bit more about that. What's one action that would really create impact that we could take away from this conversation today?
Talk about it. Just talk about it. This is something that I've spoken to people about for a long, long time. We're always afraid to press record or to press post or to bring it up in conversation at dinner, even.
Mhm.
If it's burning a hole in your soul, talk about it. Don't let it burn through the floor.
Mhm.
That's my biggest push. If you're scared, that maybe that's more of a reason to do it or to
Mhm.
talk to somebody else who can help you push through it because it can be hard. But having companions to support you as you talk about it can be equally empowering. But yeah, just talk about it.
Yeah, I always say do it messy because
Yes.
it's, you know, going back to towards the beginning of our conversation, you talked about the Sonder effect. You talked about how a post
Mhm.
lives like 3 hours and then it's washed away. It's like, well, just try it because it's not that, let's not take ourselves so seriously and let's do it messy. And if you're passionate about something, go for it and see what happens. That's what I want to say.
So I have a pin that I wear on my lapel whenever I wear this. I'm wearing a blazer. I don't usually wear a
Yeah.
blazer. I don't want I want today. And blazers make me feel super quote unquote professional.
Mhm.
And it is weird feeling because I am super chill. I like having fun. I do everything with fun in mind or with learning and discovery, right? So
Mhm.
whenever I wear this, I always wear my silly goose pin and it's a goose and he's white. He's got a little tie and it says, "Today I am a serious goose." And it makes me happy.
Yes, very
Oh,
human, very connecting.
right.
That's
And this
awesome.
is
Well,
just it. Nobody's going to see the post. Nobody's going to remember the thing. It's that saying, dance in the rain, right? Just do the thing. Nobody cares. Or Dr. Seuss, those who mind don't matter, those who matter don't mind.
yeah, yeah, and if you truly could help somebody else and make an impact, I think it's really important that we get out of our own way. One of my fellow Edgewalker facilitator colleagues, Susan Furness, she says, "We are content obese and information starved." So, I know that
Yes.
there's a lot of amazing humans that could contribute to a much better world out there. Like my dear friend, I'm thinking of my friend Aaron Tobacco, who just released his beautiful podcast, Circles Edges, things like that. So I guess for me, the overall call from this conversation is if you feel like you want to share an important message, get out of your own way and do it messy. And on that note, I'm going to pull an Edgewalker card because you're such an Edgewalker, Shauna. So I'm going to pull from the Edgewalker card deck. Edgewalkers look to the future with creative, positive visualization. They're the bridge builders and the change makers of the world. And there's 5 skills and 5 qualities. So I'm going to pull a card for everybody listening and for us today. Give us an Edgewalker message. Ooh, we got manifesting. So, one of the skills of an Edgewalker is manifesting, the ability to take a thought, idea, or vision and to take concrete, practical steps to bring it into being. We've literally talked about this throughout the whole thing, the ability to take a thought, idea, or vision and to take concrete, practical steps to bring it into being. My hope is that this conversation, if someone is listening, kind of sparks like, ooh, what concrete, practical steps can I take to bring this idea I've been sitting on into being, right? So check out, oh gosh, this is one of my favorite art pieces from the deck. And it's a group of people talking about manifesting something into reality. And everything's kind of floating above them that's about to come into the space. So our message for the week is I share my vision in such a way that others resonate and connect with it and want to co-create. Can you believe it from this conversation? That's exactly what we're talking about. I share my vision
This is perfect.
in such a way that others resonate and connect with it and want to co-create. That is literally what we were pulling through this whole conversation. How do we do that? And so claiming it, I have to say this again. I share my vision in such a way that others resonate and connect with it and want to co-create. And this Edgewalker card deck is available on createmagicatwork.net in the shop. So anyway, that was amazing magic to have at the end of this
That was really good.
conversation. Yeah, Shauna.
Jake,
I
as a side note,
yeah,
if
yeah.
anybody's a little hippie woo woo like I am, I'm a manifester in human design.
Well,
So
that's probably why we pulled back.
totally. That's cool. That
I
is
mean,
actually amazing.
the amazing synchronicities that come from the magic of these conversations, right? Even when we're doing it messy. Yeah, so good. So good.
100%.
If people want to connect with you more and learn about your work and maybe get your help in sort of starting out and helping them share their vision in a way that others can resonate and connect with it, how can they connect with you?
Your best bet would be my website. That's shaunalee.com. I'll spell it out because my name's a little bit funny. SHAUNALEIGH.com. You can also find me on almost every platform except for one, which is the big X, because I have no desire to go on there. But every other platform, you can probably find me there under my name or my business name, SLA Marketing Confidence. And I love to chat. So if you've got something cool going on in that brain of yours, please talk about it. Like I said.
Amazing. Yeah, we'll put the link in the show notes too, so people can click on it if they want to. If they're in this space where like, oh, I want to bring my vision to life. I want to start building this. I want to, yeah, reach out to Shauna. And Shauna, thanks for coming on Create Magic at Work and talking about this topic and getting us all thinking about it. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a joy.
I want to thank each and every one of you for being here as we explore what it really means to create magic at work. If this conversation resonated with you, or if someone came to mind while you were listening, share the episode with them. Help others who are looking for these types of conversations find us. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, rate, and review so you're notified when the next episode airs. Until next time, keep edge walking, keep challenging the way things have always been done, and keep making magic at work.
Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to a Magic Thread Media podcast.